Hi, I'm Susan Hill, and I am sitting with Kim Chimenti. She's a longtime client of ours. We've been working on their home for about 2.5 years, and we're just going to chat about the project and the process and
all the fun we had.
All the fun that we had. So, you want to go back to the beginning and kind of just start with,
I think we should.
Yeah. So why don't you kind of just talk a little bit about how you started your process?
So in the beginning, I started out just my husband and I working with our builder and an architect at the time. And I realized after starting to work with the architect that I was way over my head in this project. And I needed to start looking for someone that had an architectural background and also someone that was awesome in interior design. So after looking at several people, I think I interviewed 4, you just kept coming up to the top because of your architectural background, where a lot of the other interior designers, they just didn't have that. They were willing to do the inside for the pretty part, but they didn't have the ability to do any of the construction type work. It was just sort of not their thing. Mm-hmm. So when you and I met, we just sort of hit it off, and everything you were saying is exactly what I needed. And so really that's how it came for you and I to start working together.
And I remember the very first time we met was a consultation.
Yes.
And I looked at your architectural plans, and obviously one of the first things that I do is, even in consultation, is look for deficiencies in the floor plans and architectural plans to see if there are any spaces that can use improvement for the client based on the conversation that we've had and the way that they want to use their space. So that, I always look for the highest, best use of the spaces.
Yes, you did. In fact, that very first meeting with our plan set out, you automatically started redlining things that we could improve on, which was awesome. And our whole thing about this house is that we wanted to build this house, which is our last home. We wanted it to be very intentional. We wanted every room to have a purpose. Mm-hmm. And I know that you totally understood that concept and took that on very seriously, and made sure that we accomplished exactly what we were looking for. Yeah. But there's a lot to do in that process with an architect. And I know that when we started redlining, it caused us to have to go back and redo the drawings. So I think one of the most things I've said to you so many times, I wish I would have had you there in the beginning with the architect and the builder. It would have definitely saved us cost with having things revised and things we could have gotten done at the very get-go.
Right.
So I'm a strong believer. People ask me all the time about the project, and I said, I'll always go back to that. Get a good person like you from the get-go before you make major mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it just saves it saves overall time.
Yes.
And it makes it for a much more efficient project. And it also really kind of solidifies the collaboration between the architect, the client, the designer, and builder, if you can do that, if you can kind of create that collaboration. And I remember, I think one of the first things that I redlined on your plans was your laundry room.
Yes.
Because it was a galley laundry room, and there was really no good place to stand and do laundry and make piles and whatnot. And so we ended up closing up the closet that was under the back stairs and pushing the washer and dryer back into that space. So you had a dedicated space to be able to stand at the washer and dryer and do laundry, and it helped to make the laundry room feel a lot more spacious too.
Oh, it does. In fact, when I'm entertaining, I go in and I can set up a buffet across that big back window, and you don't even realize that the washer and dryer's in there anymore because it sits back.
Yeah.
I've had people walk in at one point and they go, "Oh, there's your washer and dryer." So I'm like, yeah, that was one of the things that I really love, that we were able to set that back, because it transforms that room into be even more than just a laundry room.
Right. Well, and I think one of the things that I remember, the first 3 things that you said to me were that you wanted a jewelry box in your butlery.
Yes.
You wanted to have white walls, but the house needed to feel warm for Michael. So trying to accomplish all of that and be able to pull everything together so that, we were able to, meet your needs and meet Michael's needs as well. And then, through the process and, all of our conversations and just listening to how you really wanted to live in the home and in the space, we were able, I was able to kind of extract information from you and, change spaces. So like this room is a perfect example, right?
Yes,
of what we're sitting
absolutely.
in. You didn't want a dining room.
No.
You wanted to have, a space. We weren't really sure at first what we were going to do with the space. You were thinking sitting room.
Yep.
We thought maybe that, but when we decided that, then, I designed the fireplace and, built-ins. And, as we kind of went through that process, I wanted to make sure that, that this room also felt like it had a really good balance of masculine and feminine like the rest of the house does, so that we have got great juxtaposition. And, we did that in here by using the linear reeded tile on the face of the fireplace.
Right. Oh, this has been, it's stunning at all times, but especially in the evening.
With the light in
the
here,
light is
the
on,
light,
and
and
the
then of course,
fireplace
chandelier, and then all the soft curved lines in here for you that really kind of help make it feel feminine, right?
You know what? It's one of our favorite rooms, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, but it truly is one of our favorite rooms, and just not for me. I will come in and I'll be looking for my husband, Michael, and I'll look around and he'll be sitting right where you're sitting.
With a bourbon.
Yes, probably with a bourbon or a glass of rosé these days. But yes, so, but we utilize this room all the time. Even when we have friends in, we're in here. We use the whole house. That was the whole concept that we were going after.
That's right.
Is to have a house that we've never had before. A house where every room meant something, and the table that was designed for the kitchen. It's a good example of this. It sits 8, but can sit 12.
Right.
In the kitchen itself, the bar can sit another 6. So you can entertain in that space, which is awesome. And it still can be dressed up, dressed down, and that's sort of the way our lifestyle is. And you were so good at reading and understanding, because we did throw you a little curve. I want it modern.
You did. You did. You wanted modern.
But Michael wants it warm.
He did. He wanted warm.
Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier, and the white walls.
That's right.
Sometimes, and I know this, it's hard to achieve it. You
Yeah.
either come off with something that's very cold, or you get something that's just back when I've had something that was really warm in an old house, So it's hard to get that mix. And you and your staff did such an awesome job at making that happen.
Thank you. Well, everything that we talked about, started really at the programming phase, where we started working first on correcting deficiencies with the floor plan and kind of creating little nooks and crannies also. We closed in some closets, which didn't really make sense. We changed in the foyer, which closed in the closets. We changed the barrel vault from extending to the header of the family room, shortening it up so it really made more of a feature. We arched another
That was
entry.
actually a very good call, because I don't think it would look the same. Closing the closets up, making it the barrel more uniform.
Yeah.
It really made a lot more sense when you came up with that plan. That was a very good catch on that one.
Thank you. Well, just, visually, the goal obviously was to be able to create a space that, as you walked into, led you into each, subsequent space.
Yes.
And so, all of the details and ceiling treatments and floor treatments and everything that we pulled together, which of course you were a part of every step of all of that.
It was fun, to be honest.
It was
a lot of
fun.
fun.
Even down to, you were talking about the dining room.
Right.
We added little swivel stools in the great room that you can pull over at the dining room table so you can seat additional people.
Because what does everybody do with all the extra chairs?
That's right. There's no place to put them.
and these look so pretty sitting there, and I have pulled those over twice.
Yeah. So it's just those
nice.
little things too that kind of come together. I think to kind of just to create the home that you guys wanted, and even upstairs and on the second floor we've got those little nooks and crannies in different places. So coming up the stairwell, the little reading perch, and then at the top of the landing. And then we've got the recessed niche, in the hallway.
Yes, and our guests actually sit in those chairs outside of the bedroom.
Good. That's good.
So every part
Great.
has been utilized, and you just were always on board and understood where we were coming from and would put out different things to us so that we had an option, which we both appreciated. Michael and I do have the same similar taste.
Yes.
His runs a little bit more warmer sometimes and a little bit more eclectic sometimes, I
Yeah.
think. But all in all, we loved the whole scenario.
Well, and I don't take offense if I throw something out and you don't like it.
No, you don't.
When we started the process of pulling the art together for the
Yes.
home, and we were sending, some initial options, you immediately said, Michael's not going to like any of that. So, we pivoted and we were able to start to pull together art that, was going to be, more appealing to him
Right.
and that would still work with, everything
Yeah.
that, we had already laid the foundation for.
Yeah, that's true. That is one of the things we did have to sort of work around a little bit.
Yeah.
Like things that I loved, But we got a little bit of that up in the bonus room
Yes.
with the artwork,
That's
which I
right.
was happy about.
That's right. The
A little
photography.
bit more, yeah.
A little sexy.
Yes, yeah,
got a
yeah,
little
yeah.
sexy going on
Woman
in
in
there.
the clouds.
Yeah.
Head in the clouds.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, I do too. I'm
I do.
glad
It's
you
one
love
of my,
that
it's
one.
one of my favorite. I point that out to everybody. I said, "Do you see my woman with the head in the clouds?" So, but yeah, it's been a fun process, and I can't begin to tell you how we relied on you so much for guidance on this home, and just helping us bring it to where it is. I mean, I couldn't see myself working with anybody but you.
Aw, that's sweet. Thank you. Well, I loved working with you guys. You guys were amazing to work with and, still are and dear to my heart.
I
and
know. We've become friends too.
yeah.
And that's so special.
It is
you know?
special.
So I've enjoyed that, but it's hard to get to know someone when you're working so personally with them.
It is.
And I
Right.
think you have to open up yourself a little bit when you do work with people and a designer, because they do need to get to know you a little bit.
That's right.
And the more they do know you, the better off I think your project will be.
Yeah.
It's getting in there and understanding exactly what that client wants, and you're so good at that.
Thank you. Thank you. I just really tried. I
do.
think just the whole process of just really listening to, because I care so much about making sure that, that the home is going to function. I tell you all the time, and I get emotional when I tell you how happy I am for you guys.
I know. You have been, yes, you have been.
That I'm just
a
so
huge
happy
support
for you guys. You guys worked so hard in your lives to build what you've built, and for me to be able to be part of the process and help you create a home that Michael wants to leave in the family.
Right. Yeah, Casa Bianca.
And when I hear that you guys use every single space, you sit in every space in the home, that just really, that just makes me really happy.
We do. I will say Michael spends more time in the golf simulator room than I do. But with that being said, all the other rooms, yes, we're up in the bonus room. That's actually one of my favorite rooms as well.
Yeah, mine too.
I think that's the second time I've said that now. This one and that one. And
Well, you and I have the same problem.
I know. It's hard to pick one.
It is hard to pick
Some
one.
days it's this one.
I know.
And then when I'm doing laundry or I'm setting up in my pantry, now I will say I have some envy on my pantry.
You
from
got
my
hey,
girlfriends.
I got pantry envy.
I know. It's so awesome. And just being able to walk in there and the way that's laid out, even if you want to do catering in that room, there's
Yeah.
plenty of places to do that.
Yeah.
Extra refrigerator, the sink. I mean, the way you designed that, and I loved how you said, how about your pots and pans? Do you want these shelves deep enough?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and now when I walk in, it's just so easy to pull out crock pots and pull out anything that I need. And that's another thing I hear people commenting on too. And the size of the laundry room and how open and fresh it is.
Well, and I think that the goal for the pantry was to create a space for you to keep things you didn't need immediate access to, because that's
Right.
what the pantry and the kitchen is for.
Right.
But also to make sure that it was going to be open and accessible, and then we brought the organizer in, and I worked with her to make sure we could put all the pretty in
Yep.
to keep it organized, and then made sure Michael has his own secret drawer stash.
Yes.
So that, nobody can touch it. And it's got, I think out of all the rooms in the house, it has a very kind of classic, feel to it.
Oh, I agree.
I want to put a cot in there and
I know, right? You could.
You could, but that's kind of how it makes you feel. It's just kind of that warm, kind of cozy vibe. And I think one of the other things, you have blue on today.
I do.
But you don't like blue.
I know. Do you? Yeah, this is more of a peacock.
Yes. But that's one of the things, one of the very first things too I remember you said is that Michael loves blue and I don't. And so we worked really hard at trying to make sure that, Michael got what he needed, but we were able to kind of create a space.
Well, in his office too.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments going about that office as well.
His office
and that
is
ceiling.
wrapped in the blue and then kind of warmed up with all the white oak and the custom coffers, all the custom millwork that went into making the coffers.
And there was a lot of custom that went into that.
Yes.
That in there.
That's right.
And they did a great job in there too.
They did a beautiful
awesome job in there.
The carpenters did.
But we love that room too. I go in there when I need to sit down and really take a look at some things. I'll take my iPad in there, and so we share the rooms.
Yeah.
I'll be in his sometimes, and he's always in mine. So.
So what would you say if I had to ask you? For you, what do you think was kind of the most important part of the process?
Well, it had to be the planning and the taking a look at what we were trying to achieve, because that was the thing that I think Michael and I were most lost on, that you were able to come in and take our hand on that. Mm-hmm. And then as we started going down the planning process, you were saying this would work out better, or let's take a look at this, or, without it, I don't know that we would have the home that we have without those kind of suggestions from you. It would have been nice, but it would have been nothing like it is.
And we convert all those things to drawings.
Right.
So we produce CAD documents for all of those things to be able to turn over to the builder.
That was very important. And, you do have a good staff that works with you, so I do have to give a shout out to them as well. Because they'll
like hearing that.
They were always willing to, anytime I sent an email, if you were out and about, they were always willing to shoot me back. I'll get that back to you as soon as I can. But, and that's important when you're building a house of this size and you've got so much to do. We furnished this from top to bottom.
We did.
We brought zero furniture.
That's right.
So everything was new. So it was a huge process. And so for them to be able to, with your design experience and expertise, but to have someone that can back that up is also important, because you can't, it's hard to be one person and do it all.
Yeah, you can't do
but
it.
But your style is like just perfect.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, it's your style.
Well, it's you finding what I'm looking for. You have to say, and you help me along with that. You're like, maybe this and rather than that. Or
I may have pushed you a little bit out of your box.
Right.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, you did. You did. And I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad. Well, thanks for sitting down and chatting with me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.